So if we talk about the young generation, a question for both of you, should we start teaching in school maybe with a topic like ecological awareness? To start teaching that in school?
I mean, of course you could do that, but I think it would be better to include that aspect in all other subjects, so that we show that everything is connected.
I am not a bigot. I am a good global citizen and believe all the socially acceptable things that the good grown-ups at the big banks tell the TV screens to tell me to believe.
Welcome to the planet, my dears. Wipe your feet. Come on in. No more need for coats in your mother's den.
What do you see as the biggest challenges in conservation?
The growing human population. Because where we are, there's nothing else.
And do you have views about what should be done about that?
Can't you guess?
Then the doors burst open. The king and queen walk through. There's our precious daughter. If they did not know what love meant, who would?
I am so happy that Prince Philip, friend of Jimmy Savile and father of philanthropist and champion of science Jeffrey Epstein's close friend Prince Andrew, and enlightened scientists like Bill Nye will come up with solutions to the hashtag climate crisis. I believe when the TV tells me that science says the earth is dying because of climate change, which is why I became a vegan activist, but I wish we knew how to stop it so poor Prince Philip and Greta can have their futures back.
Growing population is a problem, but notice that the rate that the population is growing, human population is growing, is slowing down. It's apparently raising the standard of living of women and girls, people like you. As women and girls get better educated, they have fewer kids, and the kids they do have more resources, so they're better taken care of and they are more successful.
And I think that was the biggest aha to Bill and me when we got into this work, is we asked ourselves, of course, the same hard-nosed question you'd ask, which is, if you get into this work and you start to save these children, will women just keep overpopulating the world? And thank goodness the converse is absolutely true, because they don't do that.
In this year's annual letter, Melinda and I take the toughest questions we get asked and give our answers. One that's come up for a long time is, as we make the world healthier, is the population going to get so big that feeding everybody and maintaining the environment is going to be impossible? We find that in every country of the world, this is repeated. The population growth goes down as we improve health. That the faster we improve health, the faster family size goes down. And so we can feel great about saving those lives.
Having a child means that your net carbon output per year in tons is 59. From one child is 59. Going on a vegan diet removes 0.8. So if you have a child, that's literally making up for like 70 vegans.
That's
you know,
exactly
if you go car free, if I live in Manhattan and I don't drive, I am the equivalent of 3 vegans. If I wash my clothes with cold water, if I hang them to dry, and I recycle everything, that's the equivalent of 1 vegan diet.
I am so glad my educated wife knew better than to have children. It gives me more time to become a better version of myself. If we did have kids, she wouldn't have this great job and I couldn't have gotten the vasectomy from Dr. Gregor that her corporate health insurance paid for. My wife's boyfriend suggested I take a break from playing my Nintendo Switch and doing hardcore vegan activism in YouTube comments a few times a week to meditate or exercise, but even my spiritual leader, Sadhguru, is concerned about the hashtag climate crisis. Maybe he has a viable solution to this real and not made up crisis that is going to make everything bad happen if we don't do what the good grown-ups in government, banks, and the media tell us to do.
Unless you reduce the human footprint on the planet, there is no solution for anything. Then they asked me a brilliant question, how do you reduce the human footprint? I said, you have to reduce the number of feet. That's the only way. So, Right now, it doesn't matter what others think. All of you who are here and those of you who are hanging out with me, we can take it upon ourselves that we will not push the human population. You can have a dog.
He promoted this on television, and he went around all the agricultural shows, and he had I mean, he was a one-man thing, and it had a tremendous effect. It reduced it from 3% to 1%. But one of the things he said to the farmers, he said, look, you don't need all these children, it's ridiculous. You've got to feed them all, clothe them all, educate them all, and look after their health. So have a few, and then if you want to go on entertaining yourself, have a vasectomy. Oh, yes. Well, how do I do that? Well, I'll organize it for you. We'll have buses running into Bangkok on the King's birthday, very auspicious day. And you will go into, and he took over a whole lot of school halls and that sort of thing. And he showed me a photograph of all these beds and everything. And people went in, and I said, but how did they take it? Well, he said they didn't like being seen to have the operation. Oh, I said, really, how do you do that? I had visions of, putting up. Oh, he said, it's quite simple, I blindfolded them.
Hey, what's that gadget?
Global
Television?
citizens breaking news. I am not a bigot. I am a good global citizen who takes the recommended daily dosage of vitamin TV to keep me in a state of anxiety, agitation, confusion and learned helplessness. I am not a science denier. I trust the experts. I do not deny science. The good grown-up experts from science on the TV interrupt this totally real and not made-up #climate crisis to bring you information from a more important and totally real death threat from a global pandemic virus. We must all listen to the experts from science and obey the TV and participate in this totally necessary and justified, mandatory panic.
Spoiler alert, you're a scientist.
What I will say of this virus, I think we're in the middle of a massive experiment worldwide. And that is...
Where are the guinea pigs?
Maybe. The experiment is, will people listen to scientists? In this case, referring to medical professionals?
Medical professionals.
In this particular case?
Say Anthony Fauci over at Allergy and Infectious Disease.
For example, and are you washing your hands? And are you taking these precautions? These are warnings offered by scientists. And
for our own good.
For our own good. And it'd be interesting if we all paid attention to what scientists say, obeying the recommendations of scientists. It's an interesting experiment we're in the middle of.
Report by Johns Hopkins researchers and said that as many as 6,000 children a day could die over a 6-month period from preventable causes because of healthcare system disruptions caused by the coronavirus. Our next guest, Greta Thunberg, recently gave $100,000 she had received for her climate change activism to UNICEF to help protect kids from the pandemic. She's also helping raise even more money for UNICEF. She recently revealed she believes she may have had coronavirus after returning home from working in Europe. She said her symptoms were very mild, and her father, who had traveled with her, also got sick. We spoke to Greta Thunberg earlier this afternoon.
During this crisis, during any crisis, it is always the most vulnerable people who are hit the hardest, and that is children.
Because there's so much focus on coronavirus, there's a lot of kids around the world who may die of things that are very treatable, but because medical systems are overwhelmed, it's going to impact children in ways that a lot of people don't really anticipate.
Coronavirus! I have to say as well, I mean, Anderson and I have traveled around the world and seen the amazing work UNICEF has done in various places. I mean, it's really is a terrific organization. Children's Emergency Fund.
I am so scared. If the extra non-essential people don't all obey science and stop working, wear masks, obey social distancing guidelines from science, and stay home until the good grown-ups tell us it's safe again, everything bad will happen always and all the people will die. The models clearly show that this is necessary and we have no choice but to listen to the experts from science. I am not selfish. I am a good global citizen who does not hate children and grandma. I will listen to what this brave, grassroots 16-year-old human shield tells me to do. I am not a bigot. The science is settled. We must accept a new normal. My wife's boyfriend is an essential worker on the front lines. He is a university graduate and a department manager at Walmart and understands the science and the models. He assures me that this is the right thing for us non-essential people to do.
Things I've seen you talk about online too is just how important it is to listen to experts and listen to science. And this is a time when, I was not a very good science student when I was in school, but this is a time, it seems, that the global scientific community is so critically important, and we're really seeing just how important it is to follow science.
Yes, exactly, and I hope that we can see now the scientific community are stepping up, and they are speaking up more than they're done before, because obviously this is a crisis that require the scientific community to speak up, and I hope that people really, it feels like science is getting, the role of science is changing now. It's becoming more, people are starting to realize that we are actually depending on science and that we need to listen to scientists and experts, and I really hope that that stays, and that also is for other crises such as the climate crisis and the environmental crisis, that we actually understand that we have to listen to the scientists.
If the world was vegan, there would be no COVID-19. Up until 10,000 years ago, there were no epidemic diseases. What changed? We domesticated animals.
How's it going? I hope you're being safe out there and in good health. And certainly, I hope you're having enough toilet paper at home. Corona emerged due to the consumption of meat. What can I do in the future to prevent this? Leave the meat off your plate. Don't buy any animal products, and don't consume anything that an animal died for, or has been raped for, or has been tortured for. You know what I'm saying? So in order to avoid a pandemic in the future, you might want to look into your current diet and see what consequences to have an animal on your plate might have on a global scale. And you're seeing it right now. This is a small taste.
American philosopher John Rawls devised a thought experiment called the Veil of Ignorance. He suggested that when trying to determine a moral course of action on an issue that affects multiple people, we should make that decision from a veil of ignorance in regarding which person we will be. For instance, when designing a social policy that affects two different classes of people, one can imagine that once this policy has been designed, one will be placed somewhere in this society with an equal chance of ending up in either of the two classes. The idea is that placing oneself in a veil of ignorance when designing societies or social policies for that matter should result in a more fair and just society where everyone's interests are considered equally. The British government has now put restrictions in place to slow the spread of this virus. People in the UK are only allowed to leave their homes for specific reasons. This includes shopping for necessities, medical care, and travelling to and from work if it's absolutely necessary. Shops selling non-essential goods have been closed, as well as gyms, libraries, places of worship, and gatherings of more than 2 people have been banned. It's extremely important that these measures are enforced and that we practice social distancing, because potentially every one person can set in motion a chain of events that results in thousands of people being infected. Despite this, it seems that many people in the UK aren't taking this seriously, with photos emerging of packed tube stations and crowded parks. The mortality rates can be expected to increase over time if no countermeasures are put in place to flatten the curve, with hospitals becoming overrun with cases. Sure, if you ignore these guidelines, you may not ever see the victims of your actions, but I can't see how that's morally relevant. If I buy cow's cheese, directly affecting the supply and demand and causing more cows to be tortured and killed, I'll never see my victim, but I'm still morally responsible for their suffering and death. This is especially the case when we consider that the government have now told us extensively the risks of leaving home and not practicing good hygiene. We have now been told countless times that more people will die if we do not take this seriously. One argument is that going outside is going to give you a large amount of pleasure, and that you'll be missing out on something if you don't go outside. Perhaps as a social event you really want to go ahead, or you're just bored of social distancing. This is essentially the same argument that non-vegans use when trying to justify killing animals. If we don't think that we can justify killing non-humans on the basis of pleasure, then surely we can't justify killing humans on the basis of pleasure. I mean, come on, what next? Perhaps you also think that because lions don't self-isolate, humans shouldn't either. I think we all know that the behaviour of lions isn't an excuse for humans killing animals or humans. You may also think that Hitler self-isolated and he was a vegetarian. And while it's true that Hitler did self-isolate before his death, what Hitler did and didn't do is irrelevant to what we should do. To be fair though, if God wanted us to self-isolate, why would he give us legs? Another argument people may use is that the quicker we all get infected, the quicker we reach herd immunity. This of course is true if a virus can only infect you once, which we are not certain of when it comes to coronavirus.
Wow. That is some of the most powerful science I've ever heard. I feel so helpless and afraid, but comforted that the science has a plan to fight this terrible real death threat from this pandemic. The essential workers at the hospitals need our help. We must stay home and implement a global lockdown until the good grown-up experts like philanthropist Jeffrey Epstein's close friend Bill Gates come up with a happy, safe, healthy injectable science medicine to make us immune and healthy. Luckily, this won't affect my vegan activism, which is done anonymously in social media comments. I just wish all the non-essential people would listen to us empowered science-affirming activists and stay home and eat plant-based kibble so we can win the battle against the invisible enemy. Toxic masculinity and science denial seem to be at the root of this problem. It seems like both the hashtag climate crisis and this pandemic can be remedied with the same medicine. A global totalitarian technocratic social control grid of government-enforced mandatory poverty, and a new normal that redefines old, outdated concepts like freedom, healthy diet, family, and masculinity.
What do these 4 countries have in common? It's 2 things: Taiwan, New Zealand, Germany, Norway. All 4 of them reacted decisively to the coronavirus crisis. All 4 of them kept infection rates and death rates low, and all 4 of them have female leaders. This coronavirus crisis has shown clearly that we need competent, empathetic leadership, and that means more women in positions of power, and less of the macho stupidity and sociopathic behavior that we get from Bolsonaro in Brazil, Boris Johnson in the UK, or Trump here in the United States.
These toxic masculinity exuding non-essential extra people who refuse to wear their healthy muscles, stay home and accept mandatory unemployment are infringing on my rights. These science denier irresponsible non-essential people are the same bigots who wouldn't listen to the good grown-up philanthropists who tried to help them sterilize themselves and give up their non-essential rights to travel, eat meat, have jobs, own land, and reproduce in order to save our poor sick mommy Earth from all the toxic CO2 exhalations that the experts say the nasty extra people are off-gassing.
The act of killing the animal wasn't the masculine trait back then. It was the act of providing for your homes, right, was the masculine trait back in the day. Gender roles change, right, but this is back in the day, right? The masculine act was to provide and to look after and to defend. But we've conflated that with the masculine thing being aggressive, but also killing animals. And so you translate that feeling to a 2019 context, and you have people thinking, actually, to be manly means to eat meat, but actually to be manly doesn't mean to eat meat. It means to look after, right?
My favorite vegan activist can help re-educate these ignorant science denial lockdown folks. They just need some inspirational speeches from positive male role models to teach them to accept the new normal. Earthling Ed can help them understand why masculinity is not about eating meat, or having unnecessary things like children, jobs, guns, testosterone, real animal foods, and rights. If only more men would be like Earthling Ed, we would not have viruses because people would not eat animals, or toxic masculinity because men would be comfortable with their lack of masculinity and redefinition of it.
Getting women to find you attractive, and it's really grotesque when you watch these adverts and you simplify what's happening in these adverts and what's being reinforced to people, but it really, really works. Like, advertising is so powerful. So now you have this idea of that, and then as a vegan, I get accused of being a soy boy, right? And now I am a soy boy because I love soy. Like, that's fine. I drink soy milk, I eat tofu. But the idea is being a soy boy, you're feminizing yourself, right? Because there's phytoestrogens in soy products, which there is.
This brave, stunning activist has me literally shaking with self-empowered, redefined masculinity and an unstoppable drive to stay home and stop this virus and the hashtag climate crisis by continuing my hero's journey of vegan activism in YouTube comments and on my anonymous Instagram profile. Real masculinity is not about having or providing for a family and children, producing and eating real animal foods, or having unnecessary testosterone and muscle and rights. Real masculinity is about using female emotional manipulation techniques to make people behave like you want them to. Thank you, Earthling Ed. I stand with you and you're not toxically masculine man bun and proudly declare.
I am a soy boy because I love soy. Like, that's fine. I drink soy milk, I eat tofu. But the idea is being a soy boy, you're feminizing yourself, right? Because there's phytoestrogens in soy products, which there is. Like, this idea that we have to reinforce these tropes of what it means to be a man. And so almost eating meat's a stamp of that dominance and authority, and is a reminder of kind of like more archaic and transgressive masculine traits and roles, which is interesting.
Hello, fellow global citizens. We're back. We are back. This is attempt number 2 of this stream. It's all right. It's all right. Attempt number 2. Here we go. How's everybody doing out there? How are all of you good global citizens doing? We're still running a competition. We started on the last stream. Whoever can send the most awesome super chat, the fattest super chat with the best description of what it means to be a good global citizen and how you are being a good global citizen, you will win 3 global citizen points. I will send those to you personally from my global citizen crypto wallet. So, all right, what's up, everybody? Christopher Cunningham, Little Big Head, Up Syndrome, that's good. William Kareen, what's up, dude? All right, here we go. Crisis after crisis, right? Totally real crises need our help. They need our attention. And if you global citizens have watched enough television, well, if you'd watched enough television, you might be out right now with the rest of the little suburban white kids burning down cities. But if you watched enough television and aren't part of that crowd who watched that amount of television and MTV, then you would understand that these crises, like the hashtag climate crisis, right? Like gender inequality, right? Like socioeconomic inequality, right? And like the COVID crisis, these things need our attention. And they need our help. And the only way to solve these crises is, first of all, we got to listen. We have to listen. We got to listen to the experts. So the experts who are just here to help, right? These experts are just here to help, to spread the gospel of the settled science. They're here to tell us all about the new threats, and we've got a brand new threat, you guys. You thought COVID-19 wasn't bad? You thought your cities burning down wasn't bad? Well, wait till half the world's population is killed off by an evil, terrible, chicken-based pandemic caused by, guess what? You, me. You and me. You and me are causing this crisis because we refuse to listen to the good grown-ups on the TV. We refuse to stop eating meat. We refused. And now the chickens are coming home to roost, guys. Chickens are coming home to roost. Where did that? I had this great photo of some chickens. Where'd my chicken picture go? Chickens are coming home to roost. So, let's read this great article. We've got an article by the Daily Mail. The Daily Mail is a propaganda outlet from the UK. They're kind of tabloidish, right? Lots of sensationalist headlines, like everything, right? So they're over there in the UK, and on the 30th of May, which was about 4 days ago, they posted the same article, basically, that the New York Post also published on the 30th of May. Written by two different people. But we'll read first the Daily Mail article. Here's the title: "The apocalyptic virus that would make COVID-19 seem irrelevant. Leading scientist warns of the danger of a pandemic." A pandemic, you guys. Real pandemic. Real threat. Pandemic triggered by chicken farms that could kill half the population. Are you kidding me? Half the population? That's almost 50% of the population. Right? I'm not really good at math, but yes, half the population, 50% of the population could die, according to the experts of the settled science. Of the settled science. The experts of the settled science tell us that this is definitely going to happen if we don't stop eating meat. So, here we go. Just when we seem to be easing out of the crisis, just as the death toll slows and new hospital admissions for coronavirus head towards zero, just as we begin to allow ourselves the first tentative sigh of relief, along comes a new book by an American doctor to tell us, this, folks, is only the dress rehearsal. The real show, the plague in which half of us may die, is yet to come. And if we don't change our ways, we got to change our ways again. We need a new normal, remember. It could be just around the corner. What we are experiencing now may feel bad enough, but is apparently small beer. Never heard that saying, small beer. In the hurricane scale of epidemics, COVID-19, with a death rate of around 0.5%, it's actually way less than that, rates a measly Category 2, possibly 3, a big blow but not catastrophic. The big one, the typhoon to end all typhoons, will be, get this, guys, this is the science and the models telling us this, it will be 100 times worse when it comes. A Category 5, producing a fatality rate of 1 in 2, a coin flip between life and death, as it gouges its way through the Earth's population of nearly 8 billion people. Civilization as we know it would cease. What's more, he adds ominously, with pandemics explosively spreading a virus from human to human, it's never a matter of if, but when. Oh my Gregor. This is horrific. Are you guys hearing this? This is terrible news. This isn't good news like riots in the streets to make us all equal and make the police respect us. This isn't good news like, hey, I guess the COVID crisis is over and you can go outside now, and you probably should go outside now to fight for equality in the streets by chanting slogans and demanding vague things like justice. Right? This isn't good news like that. This is horrible news. I guess we'll get to the good news later. Apparently the COVID crisis is over, but if you guys haven't already forgotten about the COVID crisis, for the new crisis that's totally not engineered by the Fortune 100, by NGOs, and directed, much like the color revolutions that we saw Otpor in Serbia, the Ukrainian color revolution, or the Arab Spring. We'll talk about that a little bit later, but this is terrible. I wonder who are these experts? Who is this expert? This scientist, leading scientist, right? Leading scientist says, the leading scientist. Man, the Daily Mail, hard-hitting journalism, referencing the science, the scientists, the leading scientist. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. I am in a state of learned helplessness because I watched enough television to constantly put me in this state. To constantly put me in this state and then agitate me into action towards solutions to the false crises that I'm fed. I'm a good global citizen, and I take my daily dosage of vitamin TV to keep me in that state of learned helplessness, to keep me in that slight state of agitation, so that I could be triggered at any moment into a panic, and perhaps even locked in my home for 3 months, right? And then, surprise, surprise, we'll act all surprised like we didn't know it was coming when people are freaking out in the streets after they've been locked in their homes for 3 months. Who is this good doctor, this good global citizen, expert doctor? This apocalyptic warning comes from Dr. Michael Greger, a scientist, a medical guru, and campaigning nutritionist who has long advocated the overwhelming benefits of a plant-based diet. He's a self-confessed sweet potatoes, K's, and lentils man. Meat in all forms is his bête noire. Wow, what a surprise. It's Dr. Greger. Dr. Michael Greger. Dr. Michael Greger, who you can find on Supreme Master TV, talking about antibiotic-resistant superbug. It's going to kill us all back in July of 2019. Supreme Master TV is this like Taiwanese cult leader. If you guys want to see if you guys want to learn a little bit more about Dr. Greger's past, I'm not going to rehash the information that I've shared with you many times. If you go back and you watch the video, I think it's titled Dr. Greger. If you go on my channel, my videos, and you search in the videos, Dr. Greger exposed by Dr. McDougall, you can learn a little bit about Dr. Greger, who's never treated a patient. Dr. Greger, who's never even treated a single patient, who never finished his residency. That's who is the expert that they are telling us is predicting imminent apocalypse, right? The Soypocalypse is here, guys. Soypocalypse now. We got Antifa. We got Antifa breaking windows, burning buildings, smashing the fash. we got a bunch of soy boys running around on the streets, ruining property. We've got the media hyping everybody up into a frenzy, telling you that going out in the streets is great now. Before, you had to stay home. But now it's the Soypocalypse, so you got to join and fight for equality and for police justice by bringing down a more oppressive police state and technocratic control over all of us. We've got Dr. Greger over here telling us about this virus, which is even more of a threat than the patriarchy and inequality and police violence. Wow. All right, we got a super chat, though. It begins. The super chats begin. We got the super chat cascade started here by Aaron, the big black dude. What's up, Aaron? Aaron he's had a couple good edits where he's taken some I do like 3-hour live streams. So sometimes, and I don't ever have time to whittle it down and do little clips from it. Aaron's taken a few of those and make really good ones. So here we go. Super chat from Aaron. Thank you for the $10 super chat. Says, euthanize the chickens, save the world. That's right, man. That's right. Remember, as Sadhguru says, if all the insects die, the planet will be destroyed. If the human beings die, planet will flourish. So the insects, remember, one of the top predators of insects are chickens. Chickens kill insects. Insects die, planet destroyed. Human beings die, planet flourish. But guess what? If we reduce the number of feet, we can reduce the carbon footprint, says Sadhguru. So if we can do this in many ways, we can reduce the number of feet by teaching the children how to do things with their peepees in poopush. They can also learn how to do these things with Pipi in Pupush from Fueng Tufano, who I see in the chat right now. He is on timeout. Fuenki boy is not allowed to speak in the chat unless he sends the super chats, as he did in the past. Teen Vogue tell you, we must reduce the number of human feet. What to get a friend post-abortion. So next, teenvogue.com. It's going to help teach us, the best gift that you can give to your friends at their abortion party is going to be a subscription to drgregor.com, nutritionfacts.com, Dr. Gregor's book. Teen Vogue. What else has Teen Vogue been up to lately? Let's see. This is kind of an on-the-spot thing because I just remembered this this article that people were sharing. Teen Vogue has a great article here on everybody's favorite equality activist, Antifa. They put out this funny pro-Antifa article. I've got it on my Twitter as well here. That's probably a better place to find it. But yeah, Teen Vogue, they're going to teach you how to reduce the number of feet on the humans. What Dr. Gregor tell you how to reduce the number of feet on the animals? Because we can stop eating the meat. Because the animal from the beef have 4 legs. From the chicken only has 2 legs. COVID-19 may be a dress rehearsal for the coming plague, warns Dr. Gregor. And this is by everybody's favorite, not toxically masculine, Klaus from Plant-Based News. Remember, Plant-Based News, owned by Prince Khalid, the son of Saudi royalty, Prince bin al-Walid bin Talal. Midget tossing Saudi royal, close friends with Bill Gates, owns the Four Seasons, bought the Four Seasons with Bill Gates. COVID-19 may be a dress rehearsal for the coming plague, warns Dr. Gregor. As long as there is poultry, there will be pandemics. So Teen Vogue, what to get a friend post-abortion. I mean, our main sources of food are just under constant attack. Right? We've been documenting this for several years now. Why is it that every single crisis that comes along, the answer is always give up your rights, right? More police state, more technocracy, contact tracing. And now, the birds are going to kill you. The bird flu is going to kill us all. In his new book, How to Survive a Pandemic, Dr. Michael Greger, a scientist and physician who once testified for Oprah Winfrey in her meat defamation trial, warns that an apocalyptic virus emanating from overcrowded and unsanitary chicken farms has the potential to wipe out half of humanity. Oh, no, Dr. Greger. Dr. Michael Greger, who started his career with a scam mad cow disease scare. Right out of the university, he was advocating and became the issue coordinator for the Organic Consumers Association, editing a mad cow scare webpage for the group. Now, this comes from HumaneWatch.org's article on Dr. Michael Greger, who started his career out as an activist, and not just a political activist, not just an animal rights advocate, an activist, but somebody who advocated for intersectionality. Right, he says, we're going to unite with the feminists. We're going to unite with the other social justice movements in order to fix this issue of all the nasty, naughty people eating too much meat. Let me fix the camera here. So Dr. Greger started his career out scaremongering on all this stuff. HumaneWatch.org talks about how Hugh is the top MD at the Humane Society of the United States. Dr. Greger. Right. Lots of conflicts of interest. Lots of conflicts of interest. Dr. Greger actually also works with his website was funded and kickstarted by a big foundation owned by this guy, Jesse Rash. Jesse Rash. He was the founder of webhosting.com, Inquent, Vertical Scope. And he runs Hedgewood, which is basically a hedge fund, an investment fund. And they invest in a lot of things like fake cheese, real estate, venture capital, healthcare investments, capital markets, finance, private equity as well. So they do buyouts, business acquisitions, and stuff like that. Hedgewood, all right, these are the people who bankrolled Dr. Greger. He says that he's just a philanthropist, though, right? He's a philanthropist. Greger's a philanthropist just like Michael Bloomberg's a philanthropist, right? Just like Jeffrey Epstein was a philanthropist. That's what we were told. Remember, Jeffrey Epstein, he used to be a philanthropist. We were also told that Jimmy Savile was a philanthropist. Bill Gates was a philanthropist. So Michael Greger. Plant versus animal protein, right? We got to switch from that nasty plant or that nasty animal food. The nasty animal foods that you can actually feed your family off on your own land. Those nasty animal foods that are so mean, they're so racist, they're so bad. You got to switch from that to from those animal foods to plant protein. That's highly processed, that's monocropped, pesticide fortified. Very profitable for these huge corporations as well.
I want to ask you about protein. Is there a difference between, is protein, or is there a difference between plant-based protein and animal-based protein?
Oh,
Pop quiz. Anybody remember this lady? Anybody remember this lady? She's in one of my edits. This is the lady that was talking about, she did the TED Talk about reducing the human population. Isn't that funny? Here she is talking to Dr. Greger. I just noticed this. I haven't even watched this clip yet. This lady is the one that, I forget what the video was called, but I run it often as an introduction. She is a depopulation advocate who did a TED Talk on overpopulation and how to stop overpopulation.
Animal-based protein.
Oh, critical differences. So it's not just about the quantity of protein. There are different relative ratios of different amino acids in animal versus plant protein,
and the stuff in plant protein isn't really bioavailable and is available in the wrong ratios, and different sources of protein. And plant proteins are going to have terrible ratios for human absorption. Many of them are not a complete protein. Let's see how he dances around this.
It comes in a different package. And so for
check out how it seems like he changed the hue. You could see his ceiling there. It's not really white. I think his ceiling is probably white, but he changed it so it's like a blue color. But his whole face is still washed out. And people talk about, vegans aren't pale and sickly, right? I don't know. I'll let you guys make that decision for yourself. You think vegans are pale and sickly, but I can't even see this dude's eyes. The whole face is washed out, but you can see everything on his gray and white ceiling pretty clearly.
For example, you go to the Harvard School of Public Health and nutrition page, very clearly states that plant protein sources are preferable, and their argument is food is a package deal. Food comes all together. So yes, there's calcium in dairy. Yes, there's iron in beef. Yes, there's protein in pork. But think about all the baggage that comes along with those nutrients. I mean, the food industry loves to talk about nutrients. That's why you can get a box of Fruit Loops that says now with vitamin D, right? Trying to give it this kind of health halo. But instead of focusing on nutrients, you have to focus on what are the foods we're actually eating. So as much as burger.
So nutrients don't really matter because, Big Food puts nutrients on the back of their labels. So, Coming at you on the treadmill from hell, Dr. Greger already said nothing. It's almost a quarter. It's a little bit over a quarter of the way through this video. Said nothing. Come on, Dr. Greger, get to the point, dude.
King says you can have it your way. You can't be like, yeah, I'd like a burger, I'd like the iron in the burger, but hold the saturated fat and the cholesterol and the hormones, etc. Same thing with dairy. I'd like the calcium, but, I don't want the saturated butter fat, etc. Whereas if you get your calcium from, dark green leafy vegetables, for example, then instead of a baggage,
dark green leafy vegetables. So dark green leafy vegetables, when you get calcium from something like spinach, right? You look at the amount of calcium that's on spinach. It's not so straightforward. There's also what's called oxalate in spinach. Spinach is one of the worst forms of calcium out there because all that calcium is actually bound up in the oxalate there. Right? First of all, it's in this matrix of indigestible fiber. You see it come out the other end. Most of you are not digesting that spinach. And second of all, there's also something called oxalate in there, oxalic acid. Oxalic acid can bind up to the calcium and creates calcium oxalate crystals, which can create kidney stones. You see tons of these ex-vegans leaving the vegan movement after doing their stupid-ass green smoothies for so long, and they've got freaking kidney stones. What do you know? All right, spinach is not. Kale, dark green leafy vegetables are not a good source of either calcium or protein, which is the question he's supposed to be answering. This lady asked you about protein, dude. You know your way around in a couple circles and you're talking about calcium now. But you're not mentioning bioavailability of these nutrients at all. You're just saying, calcium, dark leafy green vegetables, or Sleepy's lentils. I mean, I don't know. Let's see if he goes anywhere with this, but what do you guys think? You think we're going to get a straight answer about protein sources from Dr. Greger?
You get the bonus. All of a sudden, you get the fiber and the folate and the iron that's not found in dairy. And so you get this plethora. So that's why it's important to see what kind of package that comes in. So
you're gonna get iron. You're gonna get iron. Leafy greens are a great source of iron, right? If you're anemic, right, which some of the signs of anemia are muscle wasting, looking pale, gaunt, and emaciated, right? So we should definitely listen to this guy about how to avoid that, yeah?
That's why it's better to get all your macronutrients from plant sources, because you get all those, you get less of the deleterious nutrients of concern, such as sodium and saturated fats, trans fats, dietary cholesterol. And you get
saturated fats. All right, look, trans fats, you're getting that from the margarine. You're getting that from the fake stuff. There's actually CLA, which is a trans fat that's in dairy that's actually known to be very, very beneficial. And with these processed trans fats you're getting in the meal replacement stuff, those are awful for you. So this guy's saying, oh, you're not going to get things that are bad for you. And then he names essential nutrients. Sodium. We need sodium. If you don't get enough salt, you're going to be leaching minerals from your bones. You'll leach magnesium from your bones, calcium from your bones, if you don't have sufficient sodium to make up that delicate required micronutrient balance, electrolyte balance rather, in your blood. So he says, the bad saturated fat, your body stores saturated fat and monounsaturated fat. And when you're eating a big fat steak, it's highly bioavailable, but it's also very easily digested. And this guy's telling you instead, eat the industrial corn. Right? And then you try to use factory farming, so-called factory farming, as a straw man, when the same corporations, the same big corporate interests that run the international grain trade are the ones that created the feedlot system that fattens up the animals on corn and soy before slaughter. That corn and soy is not grown to feed the cattle. Most of that is inedible stuff that's left over after you press it for soy oil. Right? It's all this GMO shit that's creating dead zones in the ocean. Big corn, right? Monsanto, Bayer Monsanto, Cargill, Tyson Foods. These huge corporations stand to make more money selling you the corn directly than they do feeding it to the cattle that are actually owned until they go to the feedlot by pesky little rural people that they want to get rid of. And this dude tells you he's a warrior for justice. Yet he promotes literal rural genocide and promotes a diet that is genocidal, not just through making you infertile, anemic, nutrient deficient in various ways, making you more prone to infection by having low cholesterol, making you more prone to risky and violent behavior. What do we see right now with all these little Antifa soy boys out on the street? I know it's not just Antifa soy boys. There are a lot of people out in the streets right now doing stupid shit. But who's known to instigate these things? To go up and break the windows on the buildings? Who's known to do? Who did this every May Day in Santa Cruz for like the last 20 years? Those little black bloc Antifa soy boy dorks screaming about social justice. If you have low cholesterol, you're more likely to engage in risky behavior. Right? Because you're super agitated. Remember that state of agitation that the media always tries to keep you in, with propaganda, with traumatic imagery, with shitty-ass pop music, that glorifies violence, that glorifies looting, that destroys and wrecks the same black communities that the media, that these record companies now say they just want to save, right? They want to save you. These people like Dr. Greger, these people like these Antifa soy boys, they say they're all about justice. Well, guess what? So does Apple Music, Spotify, YouTube, and Amazon. All right, they're coming out in support of Blackout Tuesday. How are they doing that? By playing Public Enemy music. Right? By playing the same music that glorifies, that they promoted, right? That they promoted for years, that glorifies criminality, drug use, destruction of families, degradation of women, putting the pee-pee in the poo-poo, putting the mouth on the poo-poo. This music industry, they just want to save you too, right? Just like the soy boys do. They just want to help music industry to stage Blackout Tuesday in wake of George Floyd's death. You really think the Fortune 100 cares about black lives? Shoot, do you really think the feminist lesbians who started Black Lives Matter care about black lives? Do you really think that? You think the music industry that promotes all the behaviors that are going to fill up the private prisons, that use the police system to fill up private prisons that are invested in by people like the Clintons and Bill Gates. Bill Gates heavily invested in private prisons. So these people tell them they're going to save you by promoting what? By promoting what? Isn't that funny? Spotify, record companies, right? All the record companies, they just want to save you. These are the people who created this toxic pop culture that locks us up for engaging in the behavior that they glorify in the music and in the television shows and the video games and in the toxic pop culture. And everything they tell you to do destroys your body and mind, yet that they're going to save us, right? They're going to save you. All right, anyways, let's finish listening to Dr. Greger. That was a little bit of a side route. That was a side mission, but we'll probably talk a little bit more about that stuff later. Because while our communities are being physically destroyed, our bodies have been degraded for years, right? Our knowledge on how to actually take care of our communities, where's that? How come Black Lives Matter isn't teaching you how to self-police your own communities? How to have good relations and build bridges within your communities with your neighbors so that you can keep out looters, possible agitators, or idiots who are all hyped up on the pop culture and they think that they're going to go somehow get justice by burning shit down, stealing, fucking people up. So I try not to swear because they always demonetize the ones with swearing. But all right, anyways, hopefully you guys will hook up them super chats and make it worth it. Aaron the Big Black Dude, thanks for the super chat, man. We only got one super chat so far on this stream. We're gonna have to start a competition, guys. We're gonna have to start that super chat competition. Whoever can send the best super chat describing how you're a good global citizen and how we should be better global citizens, you will win the Super Chat competition. Let's listen to Dr. Greger a little bit more. Tell us about protein.
More of the good stuff. But even if you extracted the protein out, compared like whey protein to pea protein or something, where there is no package, it's literally just the protein, there's still a different effect on the body. So, for example, there are specific amino acids, branched-chain amino acids, as well as methionine, that increase IGF-1 levels, for example. Your liver pumps out more IGF-1. You eat more of these specific amino acids found predominantly in animal protein. And IGF-1, insulin-like growth factor 1, is a cancer-promoting growth hormone, probably why dairy so increases prostate cancer risk. And it's because of the amino acid profile of animal proteins, and that's why for life extension, decreasing cancer, methionine restriction, or switching over to plant-based sources of protein like legumes would be better in terms of decreasing one's risk of these growth hormone-associated cancers.
Okay, so doesn't really explain anything except he tells you you're going to get cancer if you eat meat, right? Meat, bad. Meat's going to give you the cancer. Dr. Greger, always live on his treadmill. Crispy Johnson is here. He says, I'm only here to monitor if Tristan sneezes or coughs. New contact tracing jobs are super cool. Dude, I got no sneezes today. We had rain, so we don't get the pollen. When it rains, you're not going to hear me sneeze. Or maybe every once in a while, but when it dries up and gets windy, that's when the sneezing comes. So that's a good global citizen comment. All right, you guys, I appreciate the super chats. Had some decent super chats on the first part of the stream that we tried. We got kicked off by my internet going out, by all my electricity going out. You guys, we do need your support on these streams. YouTube, always hiding these things. YouTube, always demonetizing these. You guys want these streams to continue, definitely support. Throw those thumbs up. Throw the thumbs up or you are racists.
I was talking about whether or not acrylamide actually turned out to be human carcinogen at all. I think
Let's count how many seconds Dr. Greger can go without slurring something. Okay. Remember, I don't think Dr. Greger's actually drunk. I don't think Dr. Greger's a drinker. You know what I do think though? Well, we do have another theory that came up in one of the comments on a previous stream. On the last stream, I think it was. Somebody had the theory that these vegans are having a lot of extra fermentation in the gut, so he might be actually getting high on his own supply. This dude might actually be getting legit drunk just from the vegan food. Just from that diet that's high in slippies, chippies, lead holes, and all of that. Tofu86, what's up, dude? Tofu86, he's a regular here. You've proven that you're not racist by sending a super chat. Everyone else in the chat not sending super chats, you guys are still racist. But we got a good global citizen here. Tofu86 is definitely not racist. He says, what does beef kidney, raw and or cooked, taste like? That's a really good question. All right. I don't like beef kidney raw, but I do like it cooked very rare. Okay. When you first have beef kidney, it might smell a little bit funny to you. I'm a freaking huge fan of kidney. I'm opening up Jessica's book right here, the Carnivore Cookbook. 0 carb recipes for people who really love animals. We show you how to make nose to tail animal foods in here. Let me see if I can find some pictures of kidney. Kidney is one of my favorite cuts. It's very affordable. It's very fatty. Right? The center of kidney is really fatty. It's really soft and it's got kind of an herby flavor. So if you boil kidney, it has a very nice kind of like herbaceous flavor that I just absolutely love. And where is that? It's like one of the later chapters. Here we go. I think we got a picture of kidney in here. There are many different ways to prepare kidney. I think the most simple way is the best. I think the simplest way of making kidney is going to be the best, and that is going to be just boiling it. Right? Take it, we boil it for about 8 minutes, and that's for like rare. Sometimes we do a little bit less. If you want it less rare, you do it longer. But it tastes herby, it's really soft. It's got a very, very unique flavor profile. And when you consider the different nutrient content of these different cuts, that makes a lot of sense why it tastes so different, right? I mean, even different parts, even different fats from different part of the animal will taste drastically different, right? Like the fat from the bottom of the ribeye, you know, that little fat from like the tip of the ribeye, that's one of my favorite ones. The flavor on that, it's so smooth, it's so nice. The fat around the kidney has a really robust flavor. Kidney's kind of herby. Lamb kidney and sheep kidney. I prefer sheep kidney. A mature animal's kidney is going to be better, I think. And it tastes very herbaceous, almost like bready. Almost bready. So yeah, just boil it. Aaron says no more than 8 minutes. Yeah, same here. But we're at high altitude, so how long you boil stuff is going to be different depending on your altitude. Then check out Jessica's book if you guys want to learn how to prepare nutrient-dense animal foods. Nose to tail, the carnivore cookbook, in this description down below. Tofu, thanks for the $10. Appreciate the super chat, man. You guys keep these streams alive. You guys keep these channels alive by supporting the content that we produce and by supporting these live streams. So, all right, back to Dr. Greger's Slivvies, Chippies, Lentils. Let's see how long he can go. How long he can go without slurring.
Still may be for endometrial cancer, but not some of the others we were worried about. But don't quote me on that. You have to watch the video. Got so many thousands of videos now, it's hard even for me to remember it all.
Even for me, because I am the smartest man alive with perfect memory. Hard even for me.
Fred GRS, hey, Dr. Greger, thanks a lot for what you share with us. You are so welcome. Fred, what about eating a source of probiotics every day? Well, you do if you're eating raw fruits and vegetables. You're actually eating. Even if you're washing your fruits and vegetables, you are getting...
Washing your fruits and vegetables? Fruits and vegetables?
Well, you do if you're eating raw fruits and vegetables. You're actually eating. Even if you're washing your fruits and vegetables, you are... Well, you do if you're eating raw fruits and vegetables. You're actually eating. Even if you're washing your fruits and vegetables, you are... Well, you do if you're eating raw fruits and vegetables. You're actually eating. Even if you're washing your fruits and vegetables, you are getting good gut bacteria. That's how.
Washing your fruits and vegetables. I think he paused there because he realized that huge slur. What's up with this? Why can't we get a sentence out without massive slurage?
You make sauerkraut. You don't add a starter, but just the lactic acid producing bacteria on the leaves, out in the cabbage, on the cabbage in the field. Has those, but they should be wiped out by your stomach acid. But
what kind of advice is this? You're not going to get beneficial probiotics by just eating raw fruits and vegetables. You know what you're going to get? You're going to get gas. And you might get the shits. South Thriver. What's up, South River? South River. Sent €5. What's up? Thank you for the super chat. It says to support the content. I appreciate that. Really appreciate the support from the audience we get here. We had the famous, we'll mention your name now. He got put on timeout a couple times. He took off. He scurried back into the bushes. But we had the famous Flank Tufanel, who in the past has supported this channel with two in the same stream. He gave two $100 super chats. Flank Tufanel, Flanky Tufano, aka Broke, Dark, and Handsome. That you can find his pornography on Chatterbait. He is a famous social media starlet. We had him in the chat earlier, so you guys got to beat Flanky Tufanel. He sent two big fat $100 super chats in the past, and then he said that I'm a shill, right? So I guess if I'm a shill, I guess I'm a shill for him since he sent $200 in the past. There we go, and because he pays for advertising before my videos as well. Literally, he pays for advertising. So the few videos that are allowed to be advertiser friendly, they'll get Frank Tufano ads on this because he pays for that.
The most important thing we can do for good gut health is prebiotics, feeding the good gut bacteria we already have. Don't need new bacteria, you just need to foster the growth of the good ones. What are prebiotics? Fiber and resistant starch. Where are they found? Concentrated mostly in whole intact grains and legumes, beans, split peas, chickpeas, and lentils. Check them out.
Yes, there we go. Beans, split peas, chickpeas, lentils. Can you guys make out some of these sentences? This is very hard.
Chickpeas, chickpeas, and lentils. Check them out. Delicious. Check them out. Concentrated mostly in whole, intact grains and legumes. Beans, split peas, chickpeas, and lentils. Check them out. Delicious.
He's gagging right there at the thought of beans, slippies, chippies, and lentils. So, Dr. Greger making lentils sexy again. Making lentils sexy again.
Okay, what else do we have? Helen, why is iodine important? And what's an accessible way to get iodine and plant-based diet? I know you mentioned types of seafood, but I don't know how to include those in regular meals.
Whoa. All right. That's some... All right, I get what's going on here. The great prophet of the Soypocalypse, who has prophesied so many things, including the future 50% depopulation event from the great swine flu, from the great bird flu. Dr. Greger, the great Dr. Greger, His Holiness the Dalai Greger. What the hell did he just say? I know what's going on here. Dr. Greger is so highly intelligent. He is such an expert of the settled science that he reads at a rate that we can't even comprehend. They're like, Dr. Greger, he's not even watching this right now, but he knows what I'm going to say 10 minutes from now. Look at those eyes. Ladies, women who I respect in the chat. Women, first of all, I want to thank you for your service. Women in the chat. I know you're oppressed. I know the patriarchy's got you down. But Dr. Greger is here with the most soothing eyes and the most soothing and slimy voice. He is here for you. And he's here. There's enough Greger to go around, you guys. There's enough of the recently divorced Dr. Greger to go around, all you ladies out there. But he reads so quickly. He's so intelligent that we can't keep up with him. This is the thing. It's like he's on a different timeline. Now this is some superhero shit. Very few can actually keep up with this guy. But I think I get it now. That's what's happening. Let's see what he said.
Iodine is important because it is an essential mineral. Meaning you don't. Helen, why is iodine important? And what's an accessible way to get iodine and plant-based diet? I know you mentioned types of seafood, but I don't know how to include those in regular meals.
Whew!
Iodine important? And what's an accessible way to get iodine and plant-based diet? I know you mentioned types of seafood, but I don't know how to include those in regular meals. Plant-based diet, I know you mentioned types of seafood, but I don't know how to include those in regular meals. Plant-based diet, I know you mentioned types of seafood, but I don't know how to include those in regular meals.
Yes! Thank you, Dr. Greger. All right, we got some super chats. Let me come over here. Dr. Greger. Oh, man, this is the thing. If you just stop eating animal foods, if you just give up homesteading, right, and you just move to the socially engineered smart cities and eat the kibble, like Dr. Greger says, the slippies, the chippies, and lentils, and plant-based meals, then you're going to be all right. You're probably going to survive the 50% death rate of the apocalyptic bird flu that scientists, they only quote Greger, a vegan, writes. The New York Post, right? So who's paying for these press releases, right? They gave out, this is how this stuff works, in case you don't know. These media outlets, these are not here to inform you. Right? These are here to gaslight you into a constant state of fear, agitation, and learned helplessness so that you can be riled up into a frenzy about whatever cultural bullshit is happening at the moment. Right now, that just happens to be race riots. Right? Race baiting is the flavor of the month. Just a few days ago, it was stay inside. Stay inside, save lives. Stay home, save lives. Stay home, save lives. If you go outside with no mask, you're putting us all at risk. That was a couple weeks ago. But remember, that suddenly ended. And now it's no longer dangerous to go outside as long as you're doing it while shouting empty slogans, while destroying your neighborhoods, and while justifying more police state, military intervention, National Guard, martial law. Now it's okay to go outside, right? So these good grown-ups at the New York Post, at the Daily Mail, they're also here not just to burn and sear into your conscience guilt and shame about all sorts of nonsense that you aren't even guilty for. Not only are they there to make you mad and feel oppressed about things that aren't even oppressing you, they're also there to make you afraid of things that aren't even right in front of you, like a future pandemic. But another one of their jobs is to basically just run press releases, right? So when somebody's putting out a book and they got some money behind it, you're going to see a slew of articles come out and talk about, in a roundabout way, right? They kind of cloak the advertising these days. So that's what this is. Dr. Greger's got a new book, How Not to Die in a Pandemic. His first book, How Not to Die, right? Classic snake oil sales pitch. You're going to die if you don't buy my book. His first book, How Not to Die. Second book, How Not to Diet, which I think that's a great title for any Dr. Greger book about diet. How Not to Diet. Don't disagree with that title. Good job, Greger. And his next book, How Not to Die in a Pandemic. So that's why they're running these articles right now, and that's why they have the same text, basically. Same title, same text. These are press releases. All right, so, and of course it ties in with the fear porn, right? The pandemic, the virus. Oh my goodness, the virus. Stay inside, save lives. The celebrities are telling you this is the great equalizer. Stay inside, save lives. Now the celebrities are telling you, what was that NBA star that said burn it all down? And then they moved into his neighborhood and he was like, what are you doing? Don't burn it down. Right? So, now the celebrities are telling you violence is justified and that you're going to change the world by going outside and rehashing the same thing they did in places like Ukraine, the same thing that these NGOs, the same NGOs that are funding BLM, the same thing that they did with the color revolutions, Serbia, the same thing that they did in the Arab Spring using big tech and big money. They're telling you, go outside now, right? 7 days ago, it was don't go outside ever. You're going to kill people. Now it's you have to go outside because one person got killed. Where's the consistency here? Where is the consistency? And I'm not trying to diminish police brutality, police violence. I'm not trying to diminish the violence that we're seeing in the streets, the rioting, the looting. This is terrible. Right? But how did you not expect this? I called this months ago that you're going to see civil unrest, bread lines. I thought the rioting would be about food, to be honest. But it's about something else now. So anyways, I don't know how we got onto that. But we're talking about media. Media hype, media gaslighting. Media. All right, let me come over here. We got some super chats. Let's see here. Aaron Hausch, what's up, dude? Sending $10. Says for the stolen boiled kidney recipes and a few shekels for all the laughs. Right on, man. Appreciate that. This non-essential appreciates those non-essential $10 you sent this way. That will all go to our animal rescue. We have an animal rescue here. We run an animal sanctuary. That's right. The animal sanctuary here. Aaron, the big black dude, says, what did he say? You want to hear it one more time? I'll tell you exactly what he said. He said,
iodine is important because it is an essential mineral. Meat, plant-based diet, and I mentioned types of seafood. We all know how to include those in regular meals.
Is that clear enough, Aaron? Do you need me to play that again? One more time. All right. Here's what he said. Listen closely. We're not on his level, but some of us can decipher this.
We all know how to include those in regular meals.
All right. That's what he said. Obviously, no more questions, right? Sigint21 Ta says, vegan girls go brap. Vegan girls go brap. That's right. If you eat enough Slippies, Chippies, and Lentils, you will be. You will be brapping if you listen to the Dr. Greger Daily Dozen Diet. Eden sends $5, says it's very nice that he has documented his health decline and donated his body for nutritional deprivation studies. Kind of starting to seem like that with some of these guys, isn't it? Thank you, Edens. Thank you guys for the super chats. Yeah, it is seeming like that. Well, let's hear his answer. How are you gonna get iodine, right? Iodine. There are very, very, very few plant foods that have iodine. Basically, you're looking at seaweed. Those are the only real plant foods you're going to get iodine from. But a lot of these plant foods that he's telling you to eat are goitrogens, right? They are going to make you iodine deficient already. He's telling you to eat, look, there's a broccoli head, a head of broccoli down there at the bottom, right? Broccoli power. I'm sorry, I still get hypnotized by his eyes. I'm a straight man. I like my wife, but she's a full-on woman. But, whew, Dr. Greger, say no more.
Iodine is important because it is an essential mineral, meaning you don't have it, you die. But iodine is found in the soil around much of the world, and so just by eating...
Oh, there you go. This the same thing is just like where are you gonna get your B12? Well, soil. We used to eat vegetables basically when we were picking berries. There would be vitamin B12 in the berries, and we used to get it from the water, and we just get the iodines from the soil. That's how you get the iodine. What? I thought he was gonna say soy at first. We're running this back. Sorry to interrupt, Dr. Greger. Continue.
Much of the world, and so just by eating... But iodine is found in the soil around much of the world, and so just by eating regular foods, now in Northern Europe, no, that's selenium. Never mind, take it back. The problem is you don't know whether the soils that the crops that you're eating in actually has enough iodine. So that's why I encourage people to add a concentrated source of iodine in their diets, just to make sure they're getting enough. This is particularly important for pregnant women, for which iodine deficiency can cause a condition called cretinism, which would be a very bad idea.
All right, so you're going to tell them actually where they can get iodine? You haven't said that yet. You said a concentrated source in their diet. What is that?
What are the concentrated source? The healthiest source. It would...
Again, I don't want to stop for all the slurs, but we're just going to back it up about 2 seconds so we can get that one more slur there.
The concentrated source, the healthiest
concentrated source.
It would be sea vegetables. And you say, wait a second, I don't know how to fit sea vegetables in my daily routine. All right, well, dulse flakes. So dulse is this pretty...
Dulse flakes. This is like one of the plant foods that I actually pretty well enjoy. Dulse flakes are actually pretty good. So that's not bad advice. Telling the vegans to get the dulse flakes in there. But are you really going to get enough iodine from dulse flakes? You're really going to get enough iodine from that? All right, so here in Ecuador, here in the Andes, the soil's really washed out. I mean, you guys saw that hard rain that we just got, right? That was crazy. I mean, it was pouring. And you see how steep these mountains are. So the soil quality here, very, very low. Iodine deficiencies are rampant in the Andes. And that's nothing new. And when you read Weston Price's book, Nutrition and Physical Degeneration, he talks about how the Andean people used to trade for goods with the coastal people. Right? So he traveled throughout Peru, which actually when the conquistadors came, they called everything here Peru. The whole west coast of South America was called Peru. And iodine is very, very deficient in the soils up high here, and copper as well, right? So with animals, you make sure that they are not copper deficient. What we do is we give mineral salt to our animals that's got copper in it, right? Some people do other copper supplements. Carnivore, he's not in the chat anymore. Bigot, not even here. Carnivore has used something else for his goats because they're really sensitive to the copper deficiencies and iodine deficiencies. So with livestock, you supplement them here. what's funny is the people here aren't told to supplement iodine. You know what they're given? They're given fluoride fortified salt, which is going to screw you up even more, which is going to mess with your thyroid even more, right? But Weston A. Price found that what the people would do, copper bolus, there you go. I'm not racist, dude. Stop it. You are racist. Prove you're not racist right now. Prove you're not a bigot. Make a good global citizen saying. So yeah, our Carnival says he gives copper bolus. That's cool. They're like little bits of copper in, and don't they get like they stick in the stomach and then slowly leach out? Isn't that how it works? Crazy. So here they used to use these things called angelotes, right? They're these eggs, and I've got one in the other room, and I don't want to go get it right now, but our kids love them. They're a dried egg that comes from a skate-like creature called an angelote, which basically it's like an angel thing. Kind of has this angel shape. Right? They call it the angelote. The unfertilized egg from that skate creature has this beautiful orange color, and it looks like if you were to mix like a sweet potato with a testicle almost, right? It's a big egg, and there's like veins around it. Really, really beautiful. But those contain lots of iodine, and they would trade for those for other products that they would get here. They had alpaca that they were growing up in the highlands. They would grow coca. They would grow tubers, lots of different types of tubers, and they would trade for this specific animal food that had a lot of concentration of iodine in it. And they would get salt from the coast as well. And there's also salt mines up in the mountains in a lot of places. So that's what they would do here. Yeah. Iodine, very, very important for fertility. Just like meat is very important for fertility, animal foods are the only concentrated, bioavailable source of iodine that you're going to find. Liver is a very good source of iodine if you don't eat fish. Some people hate fish. Some people can't get good fish. Liver is going to be a lot better for iodine than any of these plant foods. So, of course, more poor advice from Dr. Greger.
Purple seaweed, and it's flaked, and that comes in a little canister. You shake it on foods. It's a relatively unseaweedy tasting seaweed, very mild flavor. And I have videos talking about exactly how much dulse to have. RMA, it makes like noodles. It's great for soup. Nori sheets. You know, that make sushi out of. You can chew on those as a snack. Super
chew on a nori sheet as a snack. You know that paper that tastes like fishy cellophane that they put on sushi, but you can't even eat sushi because I'm telling you it's bad for you to eat fish? You can just gnaw on that all day as you bobble around in your treadmill. Gnaw on some sushi plastic. Dr. Greger. All right, so Dr. Greger, we've got plant-based news here with their article. Look at that picture. Beautiful. Who would win a fight, that chicken or Dr. Greger? Who's got better neck development? Those chickens or Dr. Greger? Plant-based news says the COVID-19 we can do it, and you got to do it in class voice, right? The COVID-19 pandemic may just be a dress rehearsal for the coming plague, according to acclaimed plant-based Dr. Greger. Dr. Michael Greger, who has a background in infectious disease, is an internationally recognized speaker on nutrition, food safety, and public health issues. He is the author of Bird Flu, a virus of our own hatching, which looks at infectious diseases and humans' role in them, as well as how we protect ourselves. Now his new book, How to Survive a Pandemic, looks at the pathogens that cause pandemics and how to face them, and the role of chicken farming is playing in the risk of future pandemics. Just a dress rehearsal. It's just a dress rehearsal, says Klaus Mitchell from Plant-Based News. It's just a dress rehearsal. Oh no! Oh no! Does dietary racism exist in the United States? The more hard-hitting news from Plant-Based News. Don't worry, guys.
Hey, everybody.
Well, let's listen to that. Let's get... How close is my terrible Klaus impression?
Hey, everybody. I'm
Hey,
Klaus.
everybody.
Hi, Robbie here.
We wanted to say we hope you're doing well and staying as mentally and physically healthy as possible during these challenging times.
Yeah, I hope you're staying as mentally and physically healthy as possible and staying away from your families who all eat meat and listening to mental health experts like Dr. Gregor and Earthling Ed. So Klaus from Plant-Based News. Klaus, everybody. All right, I think we've had enough of Dr. Gregor, funded by Jesse Rash of the Rash Foundation. So if you go over here, you can see the Jesse and Julie Rash Foundation provided the critical startup seed money and expertise to get us off the ground. But now they just run off of your donations. Okay, so now they just run off of your donations, guys. Jesse and Rash Foundation. Funding nutritionfacts.org. Remember the Rash Foundation, this guy also involved in, where did that article go? I think I already closed it. Basically, he runs a hedge fund called Hedgewood out of Toronto. So it's basically just big money, shell games. I always get played with this stuff. Hey, there's William Kareem. What's up, dude? Radical Geek, Caleb Manuel. What's up, everybody? We've got, who's Kevin 11? Kevin 11, uh-oh. I don't think he understands what's going on. All right. I thought he was a little confused in there. Kevin's all right. I thought he was maybe a Dr. Gregor fan that was confused. Anyways, we've got a lot more. We got a lot more to cover, guys. Who wants more? You guys want more? Thumbs up if we should keep going. We had a false start, had like a 40-minute stream where it was basically just me reading the super chats and then it got cut off. Who wants to keep going? Let's go. There we go. We got more. People want more. You guys want more? Give me those thumbs up. Hit them thumbs up. Send them super chats. We have a lot more to cover. The chickens are coming for you. The chickens are coming for you guys. Where'd it go? There it is. Chickens are coming for us, and they will show no mercy. Those chickens are pissed off. And Dr. Gregor remember, he's just a philanthropist, right? He has nothing to gain from any of this, right? He's spreading happitalism. He's all about happitalism. Remember, happitalism is what the UN says is the new model for the global economy. The new model for the global economy, happitalism. And here is the new economic paradigm, right? We're going to define a new economic paradigm. The World Economic Forum has been talking about a new economic paradigm, right? Talking about carbon credits, talking about social credits, already testing it in China. Already testing it over there in China. And now we've got this whole new economic paradigm coming. And this is all about happitalism. The report on the high-level meeting on well-being and happiness. The United Nations headquarters in New York. This was in 2012. That this came out. Then we saw happitalism referenced on the UN NWO website, UN New World Order. The UN has actually come out and they actually contacted this journalist and they told him that that website is not created by the UN. Now it is created by people with connections to the UN, right? And they do retweet Tedros, the head of the WHO. Remember, Tedros and the WHO tell us to stop eating animal foods, lower your cholesterol, which of course makes you more prone to infections, makes you more prone to death. Right? People with low cholesterol die more from all causes. But this is what they tell us to do, lower your cholesterol. They attack animal agriculture. Right, so you had UN NWO retweeting Tedros, UN NWO promoting this new agey, hippy-dippy, happy-talism paradigm. All right, but they're not the only philanthropists. We got the UN promoting capitalism. You've got Sadhguru promoting capitalism, saying to stay in your homes, lock it down, lock it all down forever. Right? And he's saying we've got to find a new way of living when we come out of this totally real and not made up pandemic. And we've got another famous philanthropist that's helping us to deal with another crisis, the crisis of inequality. Or remember, the UN is always talking about inequality. Right? Inequality, one of the sustainable development goals is the reduction to eliminate inequality. Right? They talk about gender inequality, racial inequality. I'll turn on some lights here because it's getting dark. In my professionally lit studio here. So we got Melinda Gates now. She's coming out, right? Remember just a few weeks ago it was stay inside. The government's not doing enough to keep you inside. The government is just not doing enough. People are going outside. We got Humane Hancock crying on his YouTube channel. Listen to the television. Put on your veil of ignorance. Listen to the television, he said. But this week it's different. This week it's different. We're going to learn a little bit more about why it's different and about some of the players in this new crisis in a minute. Let me read some super chats. We got, where do we go? We had some super chats here from, here, I'll refresh. Sometimes it disappears. YouTube's having problems with its streaming interface today. It's not refreshing properly. All right, thank you guys for supporting the stream. Thank you guys for supporting the channel. We had some good questions here and some good super chats. Let's read them. We've got Aaron Hoosh sends $2. Did I get it right that time? He says $2 for getting my last name right. Is it Hoosh? If I say Hoosh 3 more times, do you send 3 more of those? Or did I say it wrong this time? Aaron says, for getting my last name right. Thank you. I do my best. I butcher half of them. Kelly Tolbert or Tolbear. Which one? For $1.99 says, what animals are possible to have on a half acre? Chickens are the best one to start with. You don't need very much land at all for chickens. Right? But you can also have ruminant animals if you can feed them silage. And so look into silage. There are people here who breed Jersey cows. I haven't seen them. Carnival has. But they keep them in a very small area, and it's not ideal what they're doing. But what's really cool about what they're doing is they're feeding them a lot of silage. So they bring in silage and they make it on site. Right? They go and they harvest a bunch of forage, and then they make silage from it, which is really bioavailable and digestible and really good for the animals. So you could keep a cow on half an acre if you did it right and if you brought in silage, which is work, right? It is work. But there might be people who sell a bunch of good quality silage near you. So yeah, check that out. Kelly, a lot of people are going to be leaving the big cities. A lot of people are going to be leaving the degenerate cities that are being systematically eroded and destroyed. A lot of people are going to leave those places and they're going to be moving to rural areas. They're going to be looking at generating their own food. They're going to be looking at making their own food. People want to get out of the cities. People want a solid supply of good quality food. And it's hard to get when you live in a big city right now. We got a lot of people here who are in cities, who aren't feeling it, who are looking to move out. We got a lot of people who are taking the steps to move out right now. So that's why we're always here promoting homesteading, producing your own food, supporting local food producers. And somebody mentioned bunny rabbits. There you go. Bunny rabbits too. I know Carnival's starting to do some bunnies now. Sheep and goats don't need a lot of land, but you can actually do silage. Right? But get out of the cities. Go to places where you know your neighbors, where your neighbors are armed, where you can protect your communities, and where you can produce your own food, and where you know where your food comes from. There you go. What's up, Jay? Jay Dyer in the chat. So city collapse will raise my house value. There you go. Well, Jay actually has a massive mansion. Have you guys seen Jay's mansion? Huge mansion right outside the Hollywood Hills. He actually owns like half of Malibu Canyon. Will Smith rents from Jay Dyer. So we got Jay in the chat. There you go. He says 75% of my city owns guns. That's what's up, right? Like, you want to be around people who are going to defend your neighborhood so you can know your neighbors. Cities are not going to be the best place for that. The suburbs, much better for that, right? At least in the suburbs, people know their neighbors. At least in the suburbs, you can kind of defend those areas, but it's hard in the cities. Like if you're on the third floor, I don't know. It's difficult. So a lot of people want to leave the cities and move into rural areas, maybe leave the cities and move into suburbs. You can have your own chickens. You can have your own egg production. And you don't even, there are people, there's actually a book that talks about, Jessica's got this book, and they talk about people in the 70s. It was written in the 70s. A lot of people were having they had cows that they would keep in their garage. And they bring it outside during the day, but they would be bringing it forage and silage. And a lot of them were probably feeding grain too, right? But they had their own cow in their garage, their own milk cow in their freaking garage. Someone says, I hear Uruguay is nice. I've never been to Uruguay. It's flat. It's flat. That's the thing that's weird for me. We like it here. It's not perfect. No matter where you go, it's not perfect. We still had lockdowns. But it was, I mean, the adherence, I didn't really have to adhere that much. But I'm a good global citizen. And if anybody from the Ecuadorian government is listening, I had 100% compliance, 150% compliance. Like Carnival said, the people in Loja had with their masks. And we like it here in the Andes. People are talking about Wyoming. There's some people in Wyoming that like it out there. Where else? Where else is good? Someone says the bigger your house, the more time you have to spend cleaning. Well, yeah, I mean, Jay Dyer, he has to clean up after Charlie Sheen. Imagine that. Jay Dyer, he actually lives in a duplex mansion, he says, with Charlie Sheen. And he's got to clean up after Charlie Sheen. Charlie Sheen is his tenant. Doesn't have as much respect as a lot of tenants do. So, but he does have a lot of pet boomers that walk his dogs for him. That's honest, they have mentioned. So Jay Dyer in the chat. Guys, check out Jay's channel. Who else we got in the chat? We had Aaron, the big black dude. He had a wrench as well. And Aaron has done some good compilation videos from some of these live streams. I want to thank him for that. Composure Under Pressure sends $20. Doesn't even say anything. Just a nice, generous $20 donation. Composure Under Pressure. There you go. Thank you so much for the super chat. Appreciate that. And back to philanthropy. All right. So we've got capitalism, the new paradigm of capitalism, and the good grown-up philanthropists like Melinda Gates, who has done more work to sterilize and maim black Africans than almost any other person in the world. She just cares, right? Her husband, who says the African population explosion is the biggest problem that he's worried about on the planet. On the planet. Who was caught putting sterilants in happy, healthy medicine shots, happy, healthy, mandatory medicine shots that they were giving to women and sterilizing them. They had HCG in them. Crazy, right? So Melinda Gates, she just cares about black people, right? Just like Apple Music and the Fortune 100 and who else, right? Those all the record companies, MTV. They just care about black empowerment, right? And that's why they spend their time pumping out music that glorifies criminality, drug use, sexual depravity, putting the pee-pee in the poo-poo, as Terrence McKenna would say. Even though MTV and all these record companies are pumping out this stuff that's just landing more and more black kids in prison, breaking up black families, with the culture that they market to the black community. No, they just want to help you by telling you to go out into the streets and fight for justice. They don't tell you how to fight for justice, right? They just say, go fight. Go cause a stir. But Melinda Gates, The Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, she just wants to help. She just wants to help. She says, the video of George Floyd's brutal death broke my heart. I watched the protests that followed, and I felt overwhelmed with solidarity. And I'm listening as black advocates, and activists call on every American to treat racial justice as a shared responsibility. Racial justice. Racial justice. So their philanthropy, remember, Melinda Gates and Bill Gates' philanthropy, it revolves around their business interests. All right, they use their philanthropy as a shell game, just like Rockefeller Foundation showed them how to do. You had the Rockefeller Foundation, the Rockefeller Brothers Trust, several other Rockefeller Philanthropies or something like that, several other foundations started by the Rockefellers to hide their money and to keep it generational and to get around antitrust laws. We got the same thing. Bill Gates rebranded. If you watch Corbett, shout out to James Corbett, the Corbett Report. James Corbett has done a fantastic series on the history of Bill Gates, what he's all about, where he comes from. She says, I don't have all the answers about how I can use my voice and my philanthropy to be a part of the solution. I will continue to deepen my understanding and to stand with people and organizations working towards a future centered on gender and racial equity. Equity. Equity, that's another banking term there, right? She says, Black Lives Matter. We cannot allow systemic racism to go unnamed and unchallenged. Above all, we cannot turn away. Right? This from the lady who, her and her husband, are all about testing untested vaccines on African children. This is what they're all about. This is what they're all about. So, what is this? I'm so glad that she's going to help, right? We got another story here out of BuzzFeed. Remember the contact tracing? You guys remember contact tracing? Well, remember a week ago when you had to stay inside? Remember a week ago when the media wasn't telling you to go outside? You can go out now if it's for rioting, says the media, right? For justice. Remember when the media was saying you got to stay inside or you're being irresponsible and you're going to kill everybody? Remember when Humane Hancock was saying that all these people are being so irresponsible by going outside? Let me fix the video quality here. It's kind of washed out there. There when Humane Hancock, saturation like almost all the way down because of the weird colors in here. Here, that'll help. So yeah, remember a week ago when it was going to kill everybody if you go outside? Okay, well, there was this thing called contact tracing. The Rockefeller Foundation put out their suggestions on building a contact tracing army, an army of contact tracers, basically NKVD style, Stasi style snitch brigades of citizens on patrol, watching each other, snitching on each other. Ooh, Tristan sneezed. Ooh, Frankie put his fingers in his poo-poo. And then he put his pee-pee in the poo-poo, and then he went and touched his meat that he sold to people for way too high of a price. Ooh, contact tracing snitch brigades. Remember this? They had the Clinton Global Initiative talking with Gavin Newsom about contact tracing brigades in California. Well, now we have a new crisis, guys. The DEA has been granted sweeping authority to conduct covert surveillance on people protesting over George Floyd's death. A secret memo reveals. Whoa! Now they get to do contact tracing on the activists. A bunch of people that were hyped up into a frenzy by media to go and commit crimes now get to be contact traced. Is anybody surprised? All right, now I've got another tweet here. Where'd that one go? I've got a whole bunch of tweets here, actually. I got to come over to my Twitter profile. And we're going to go over some of the other news that's been happening today, in the last few days, or the last week. So it used to be stay at home. Now it's go freaking riot. And who's surprised? Right? Everybody was locked in their homes for how many months? Mandatory unemployment, small family businesses destroyed, told to wear masks. Told to wear masks. Told they must wear masks. Then the media whipped you up into a frenzy. We all got all hyped up and freaked out over something that, yeah, it was an awful thing, right? I saw the video, the George Floyd murder. Terrible. Seen loads of other murders from police over the last few months. Those didn't trend. We didn't get hyped up into a frenzy over that. But then we're supposed to be surprised, right? You get locked down. You get treated like prisoners. You get treated like lab rats in your home and told that you're not essential. This is what people were told. Right? Through this media campaign, they're told, if you're not an essential worker, you must stay home. They told us we are not essential. The same people who have been telling us there are too many people, Bill Gates, said that only the essentials can go to work. They socially engineered us into accepting being treated like prisoners, being treated like lab rats. And then these celebrities, these big corporations, and the media who just told you for 3 months, this is the new normal. Sad piano music. Dun, 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 dun. We're here with you. This is the new normal. Those same corporations are now saying, go. Take to the streets. Fight for justice. It's ridiculous. It's freaking ridiculous. So, here we go. Let's come over here to my Twitter. Let's see. Can you guys see that? Yeah. Make it a little bigger. We've got Dr. Greger for World Emperor. Dr. Greger 2020. I'm still waiting for him to announce his campaign bid. But we'll see. We've got way too many tweets in between this. So we've got, here we go. Barry Gardiner, right? Barry Gardiner, he's a blue check mark. Good grown up. He's proud to be elected to serve his community for the 7th time as MP for Brent North. So Gary Gardiner says, been social distancing since March. Today, I broke it to join the Black Lives Matter demo outside Parliament and take a knee with thousands of brave young people calling for justice. Right? So the symbol that they're using is your hands up, right? Showing that you're unarmed, showing that you're not a threat, showing that you're submissive. Putting your hands up in the air, it's like the police say, put your hands up to show that you're not armed. The fist in the air also shows that you're not armed. You don't have a weapon, you're not a threat. It's a fist up in the air, taking a knee, right? Bowing before Parliament. This is what these people are doing. This is the ritual that's going to help them get freedom, dudes. They're going to get freedom. They're going to get freedom by following this MP, this British MP, to the front of Parliament, to put their fist in the air and show that they're unarmed and to take a knee and to bow down before the Parliament building. With thousands of brave young people calling for justice. They're doing this because something that happened in America. Does this make sense to you? Just a week ago, the virus was going to kill everybody. But now you got MPs, they're breaking this. It's no longer unhealthy to do this. Now we need justice. Look at this guy glaring at him. This guy does not trust this dude. This guy, that black guy is glaring at this guy, this MP. Look at him. He's like, man, I know you. He's British. I don't know what this guy would talk like because I can't think of an English accent right now. Oh, man. All right. So they're bowing before Parliament, taking a knee together. Screaming, take a knee. Screaming, take a knee. This is empowerment. I've seen very few masks, which makes me happy.
We're halfway through, guys. Keep going. Keep plugging in.
Yeah. So there you go. This is what these corporations are telling you to do. You're totally going to beat you're gonna beat the patriarchy by taking a knee. All right, we got some super chats. Tofu86, gotta go Tristan, throwing in the towel for my super chat contest. There you go, man. Well, you win, and we all win. We all win. There you go. Thank you for sending those non-essential dollars to this non-essential person. Really appreciate that. Tofu, have a good one, dude. We've got a few more. I got some questions here. The Thoughts of a Pilgrim sends $2. Says, where can one start learning how to homestead? There are a lot of really good books, but the best thing to do is to just dive into it, right? Start learning about chickens. Learn about getting chickens. Justin Rhodes has a really good channel. Teaches people how to have very, very high production of eggs, right? Using poultry, using chickens. So you can check out Justin Rhodes. He's got a good channel. There's some good homesteading channels out there. There are some really good books, but I would say start with chickens and move forward from there. I think we're going to start putting out. We'll start doing some homesteading content, right? I don't like editing videos. I really enjoy doing these live streams. I like being able to do the long format where I can sometimes have guests if there's interesting guests. But I'm going to do some more edited videos, and we will do some homesteading content. People are always asking for more Jessica content. So Jessica and the kids, they love doing videos with around the homestead too. So we'll do some more of that, and we'll help you guys out. But yeah, a good place to start is chickens, and then move on to things like small ruminant animals. Cows are not that hard too. So thank you for the super chat. Hope that helps. Take off your blinkers says small family businesses weren't getting destroyed fast enough. The riots sorted that out. Sending $5 Australian. Yeah, isn't that right? Small family businesses ravaged by lockdowns. You're told you're non-essential, right? You're given this nihilistic culture that tells you, YOLO, bro. Now you're told you're not essential, nobody needs you. Then what happens? And so the small family businesses already destroyed. Amazon making more profit than ever. Jeff Bezos getting richer than ever. Bill Gates getting richer than ever. All these billionaires growing their fortunes. All, Walmart, Walgreens, these are all essential. Church, non-essential. And then you're told rioting is essential, right? And these mayors are saying, yes, that's fine to go out. No, it's not okay to go out and protest the lockdowns, but it's okay to go out now. Why is that? Why is that? Maybe, like with all these social justice movements, maybe this is being hijacked, directed, and steered. Maybe, definitely. All right, Helen Guilford sends $4.99. Thank you so much. $4.99. Says, I missed the beginning. I'll have to watch again. So agree, people are letting loose after being held prisoner. Exactly. You're locked down. You're told, here's the new normal. You're a prisoner in your own home, in your own communities. What else happens in prisons? What happens before lockdowns in prison? Lockdowns usually happen in prison before a riot. You think these lockdowns are going to be over? You don't think they're going to cheat? They're going to keep pushing this? We'll see. We'll see. Helen Guilford, thank you so much for the super chat. Since you missed the beginning, we'll just repeat it all. Okay, we'll go back to the beginning and we'll repeat it all. Somebody mentions Greg Judy. Greg Judy's another really good one. He's more like scaled up regenerative agriculture with ruminants. Small scale homesteading, I think it's better to start a little smaller than that. But Greg Judy is great. I got to get him on soon. You can either stay home or riot. They'll give you UBI. Exactly. That's what they want to bring in. They want to bring in universal basic income, equality. Equality. What is equality? All right, so here they are, the BLM protest outside of Parliament. And what are they doing? They're taking a knee. Thousands of people kneeling before their government, showing that they're unarmed and that they're not a threat. Does this seem like fighting the system? These movements, a lot of the social justice stuff that you see is, as Jay Dyer always calls them, managed dialectics. These are managed dialectics. Right? So if BLM really cared, about their communities, if they really cared about empowering Black communities, maybe they would take a little bit different approach. Right? How come you don't see BLM telling people how to keep their communities safe? how to self-police their communities within their constitutional rights. Why aren't they teaching people their rights? Why aren't they teaching you how to arm yourselves and protect your communities lawfully? Why are they not doing that? And so I've had a couple tweets. I don't feel like scrolling through Twitter to find them, so I just go to the screenshot here. It's on my YouTube page. If BLM leadership were legit, concerned with protecting communities and not useful idiot NGO pawns, they'd have taught tactics to self-police and defend communities. Immediately apprehend, document, and citizens arrest the infiltrators and agitators, then bring them to the police. Why do they not teach them how to have good relationships with their police? Why do they not teach them to have relationships with their sheriff? Or maybe even run for sheriff, to teach people their rights, to teach people how to keep firearms, how to safely use firearms, and how to use these things legally. Why not? Instead of teaching people to protect and police their communities lawfully, BLM leadership teaches them to canvass red carpets on their streets for agitprop infiltrators and Antifa to destroy their communities and justify more military police state and unemployment. And also, they teach you how cool it is to put the pee-pee in the poo-poo. And so they teach you all about, Pride Month, lesbian, black, trans woman Marsha P. Johnson started this. It's like, this is what they teach you. They don't teach you, here's how you protect your communities. Here's what you do if people are trying to infiltrate your movement and start violence and do illegal activities and bait you into getting arrested. They don't teach you how to stay out of jail. They don't teach you your rights. Why not? Why not? Isn't that what they should be doing? Isn't that what we should be doing in our communities? Policing ourselves. Shouldn't we be teaching our communities how to protect themselves? Absolutely. Absolutely. So, anyways, this is something that really annoys me. How we get duped by these NGO-funded fake revolutions, and what we're seeing now is very similar to the color revolutions that we saw in Europe and Eastern Europe, what we saw in Ukraine, what we saw in the Arab Spring, and it's the same people funding it. And it's the same script. As you see here, the Otpor, Serbia 2000, the Georgia in 2003, uprising, revolution, funded by the same NGOs, scripted in the same way, using the same script. Right? If you want to learn a little bit more about this, where's that book? Really important book to read by F. William Engdahl, Manifest Destiny, and he's written some good articles as well. I think Global Research has a couple of his articles up. If you check Jay Dyer's Twitter or my Twitter, we've linked to a couple of these articles from F. William Engdahl. He also wrote Seeds of Destruction. Right? But Manifest Destiny, this book, Democracy as Cognitive Dissonance. This book, very, very important for understanding the color revolutions. Otpor, what we saw, they even used the same symbol in Venezuela in 2007. All these fake coups in Egypt, right? For the Arab Spring, which is directed using big tech, using Facebook, using the same techniques, what they call swarming, the swarming techniques, to confuse people, and celebrative, empty rhetoric-fueled, peaceful protests is what they taught. In the U.S., it's being done a little bit differently now. And what you did see in a lot of these places like Syria is these protests becoming violent. The perpetrators of this violence often coming from other countries, coming from outside. And then justifying more clampdown. And then you relieve the pressure, you let off the release valve, and you bring in the new order. And this has been repeated over and over again. So that's why you got MPs, political leaders in the UK saying, oh, we're going to fight injustice. In the UK, we're going to fight injustice by... What does this have to do with the UK? What does George Floyd's murder in the US have to do with anything in the UK? And how does kneeling and bowing before Parliament fix this? I don't understand this. I don't understand this. But if you understand what's going on here, and that we're not seeing a genuine grassroots revolution. We're seeing a controlled meltdown of society to bring in a new order, then you'll understand a little bit better. But there is some funny shit going on here too. This is one of the funnier videos here. We've got a few really funny clips here. Uh-oh. Ari's screaming. Hold on. She okay? You're not? Okay, I think you're fine. All right, Ariana's okay. All right, so there we go. Play stupid games, win stupid prizes. That's probably the 2020 motto, right? Play stupid games, win stupid prizes. Here we go.
You have us play us! You beat us back! We did nothing! You have us play us! You beat us back! We did nothing!
All right. That's a good one, right? That's a really good one. Let's see. What else? Trump's tweets. Oh, man. Yeah. So we got these people pushing the situation so far where it looks like it's basically inevitable that that people are going to demand the military to come in and intervene. You got these people just freaking out in the streets, chanting slogans with no idea what they really want, right? There's no real concrete demand. There's no real concrete demand, right? And then it's like all these melting down suburban and urban white kids are just super funny. Like, I don't know. You have, here's some of these gender fluid white kids from the suburb getting up in some cops' faces. Let's see. I think we have another meltdown here. This blonde girl they're berating these cops. The cop just, look, I'm no fan of most police officers anyways. I'm also not a fan of these irate, pilled out Zoomers, but some of this shit is funny. This chick getting sprayed here. All right, there's that one. There's so many. What else? I don't know. Some of these are not fun to watch. Where did that one go? Oh, here we go. Alright, so Luke Radowski put this one up. I retweeted this one. I thought this one was funny. He says, America's 2020 election summed up in a TikTok. Yet another pissed off white chick. Let's see. Why are these pilled out Zoomer white chicks the most pissed? The most pissed at these protests. If I was black, I would kick all these chicks out of the protests. I don't know.
Try me! Trump
2020! Wow. So we got this like buzz cut chick with a beaver hawk looking like Chuck Liddell with some titties screaming in this guy's face. And this Trump kid who, like, do you think this kid even, I don't know. Some of these Trump people, I feel like he just wants to piss off Miss Beaverhawk here. He's getting all frat boy screaming, Trump, 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 with his MAGA hat and his Trump 2020 shirt. Oh, man.
Trump 2020! Trump! 4 more years! 4 more years! Try me. What, try it?
big ass ears, I can barely hear you. I got some big ass ears, I still barely hear you.
All right, so she wins. She got the last word, and she was the loudest. She was the loudest. Like, these chicks think they're helping black people by just making fools of themselves, right? The whole BLM thing right now is pretty crazy. I don't know. I mean, I don't know. There might be some more funny clips on here that I haven't seen. I guess this is just a funny clip. This is helpful. Okay, this is kind of like a pro-Trump one. I don't know, guys. I don't know. But what we do know is, what's this going to result in? More police state, more technocracy. Right? You think riots are going to get the police to act nicer to us? Absolutely not. But guess what? Epidemiologists, ooh, those are the experts, right? Call for widespread contact tracing as soon as possible amid COVID-19 pandemic. Don't forget about the pandemic, guys. Remember, this contact tracing stuff, this comes right out of DARPA. This comes out of tracing dissidents in Iraq and Afghanistan. This comes from tracing terrorists. The terrorists. Guys, the terrorists are a bunch of soy boys with man buns out there, and they just want to take your freedoms, folks. The terrorists are out there. They're everywhere. The terrorists, some of them aren't even wearing pussy masks when they go to these terrorist rallies. We got to contact trace all the terrorists. You might know your local Antifa terrorists by their pussy masks. They will also have a man bun. They'll be quite unkempt. A lot of them will hate their father. We have to contact trace the terrorists, right? This contact tracing, it's just full-on neocon surveillance state stuff, right? So we got this article. Minnesota is now using contact tracing to track protesters as demonstrations escalate. They're normalizing this. Minnesota officials say they're using contact tracing to better understand who the protesters are and where they're coming from. Ooh, they're coming from out of state. Like, right? It always ends up working. The narrative always ends up pushing the same stuff. More militarized police and all this, right? So the protesters, they don't have any real demands. They're saying defund the police. Don't trace me, bro. There you go. Zyklon B. There's a good one. Don't trace me, bro. So, who better to bring in universal basic income, contact tracing, than Trump? And who better to bring in communism to the U.S. than the guy who came in saying he was going to do the opposite? Isn't this always how it goes? And that's always how it is. So we got to stop looking for these fake saviors. We got to stop looking for saviors in these movements, right? In these mass media spectacles. You're not going to find salvation running through the streets burning shit. You're not going to find salvation in your government. You're not going to get salvation from voting for Trump or voting Trump out, right? There were some other really funny images. Let's find some of these. Salvation doesn't come in these trendy little hip movements. Salvation doesn't come from eating a bunch of soy. Salvation's not going to come to you from big tech. Salvation's not going to come to you from Trump or Biden or Bernie or socialism or free market capitalism. None of these things. These are all just temporal, man-made concepts. All right, the longer you chase these idols, the longer you kneel before men, ritualistically kneel before men, right? You got these pathetic, idiot white people kneeling and begging for forgiveness for their racism that they don't even have. Right? These people who are so worried about being racist, these people who aren't even racists, are kneeling and bowing and praying before There's this video, it was all over. I think even Michaela Peterson shared it. Tim Pool even shared this one, right? He said, no, I won't join your cult. Kneeling before these black people, begging them for forgiveness. Oh, I'm so sorry. These aren't racist. These aren't like, oh, I just took off my KKK hood and I repent of my racism now. These are just white people who've watched enough TV to be put into a sense of guilt and shame over climate crisis, over inequality, over all these things that they're made to feel guilty about. When they don't even feel guilty about their real genuine sins, like bowing down before and worshiping other men. I like this meme here. Got the classic NPC meme. No, you're going to spread the virus and make it worse for all of us. Same dude a week later. What? They have the constitutional right to rally and speak up against police and racial justice. There's no consistency. Absolutely no consistency. Tim Dillon, rather. There you go. Tim Dillon, one of the few real comics left. One of the only comedians that I actually enjoy. Shout out to Tim Dillon. He's a huge fan of... No, I don't think he is. I don't think Tim Dillon's on that carnivore diet. He says, not to say there aren't random nut jobs out there, but the FBI, CIA has successfully infiltrated every protest movement that has ever gained any ground. When you see highly organized groups of people carrying out acts designed to make protesters look bad, pay close attention. Exactly. And why do you think these big NGOs like the Open Society Foundation put so much money into BLM? Why do you think these politicians love to hijack these movements? I'm trying to find this one image. Here we go. This is 2020 so far. This image right here. This white kid looking at his cell phone, wearing his mask, laying down on a toppled fence in front of a structure fire with the F word behind him spray painted on a brick wall. All right, so here's the cornerstone of the new world order. Social media obsessed, narcissistic children reenacting the movie that they just watched last year. Why do you think they made the Joker so big? Just a couple months ago, we're looking at Joaquin Phoenix accepting the Academy Award for this movie, praising, exalting violence and nihilism, aesthetic destruction, exalting the twisted psyche of the broken down mama's boy with the absent father. Right? The Joker, that film. Why do you think that was so big? You think life imitates art, imitating life ever? So this image right here this is 2020 so far in a nutshell, kind of, huh? All right, let me come over here and see what the chat's doing. What's up, guys? There were a few other funny clips, but then there's a bunch of clips that are very disturbing. I don't want to watch any of that. All right, let me come over here and see if we got some super chats, read some super chats. How are you guys doing? How's everybody doing? Did you guys change your profile picture today? Man, how stupid is that? It's like Jay said on that tweet. Anytime big tech tells you to change your profile picture, that's not for activism. You're not getting justice for your fellow man by changing your profile picture. You know what you're doing? You're providing a tracking mechanism for the algorithms to test out how effective their revolutionary technology is. The revolution industry is booming right now, guys. The revolution industry is having a major boom. A good article here. The Arc of Crisis. The destabilization of the Middle East and Central Asia. You guys check out my Twitter. I retweeted this from Jay, and this is from Global Research. Now, a lot of their recent articles suck on Global Research, but they used to have some good stuff published, and every once in a while they put out some good stuff. The Arc of Crisis. The strategy of tension, right? The strategy of tension was created in the last few months with the lockdowns. the strategy of tension, the divide between the non-essentials and the essentials. And then the arc of crisis was built, and it's being built now. The arc of crisis is now the destruction of more the middle class by Raytheon, says Barbarian Missionary, exactly. Or Rand Corporation, Raytheon. This is where this tech comes from. This is where this revolutionary technology comes from. Big tech, which is the military. Using the arc of crisis to bring in a new order. The aim, this is a quote here from the article, the aim is destabilization of the region, subversion and acquiescence of the region's countries, and control of its economies in the name of preserving the West's hegemony over the arc of crisis. And what is the crisis now? The new crisis was what? The new crisis was disease. And now we have social disease. Right, this revolutionary movement, it's constantly being rehashed. Right? The French Revolution, one of the most horrific bloodbaths in the history of humanity. Guess what they were fighting for? They were out in the streets and they were fighting for the Masonic credo, the Masonic creed, liberty, equality, fraternity. What do these mean? What do these empty slogans that people idolize even mean? Liberty, equality, fraternity. This is the French Revolution. Millions slaughtered. And there was actually a part of the planning, a part of the ideological framework that the French Revolution was built on was all about depopulation. Highly suggest everybody go to my YouTube community page. And if you scroll down a few days, I put a link in to Father Seraphim Rose's Orthodox Survival Course. There's an audiobook version put out by Orthodox Reactionary. Great YouTube channel, does a lot of really good stuff. And he does a very, very good job at reading the chapters there. Even though I don't like how he pronounced Adam Weishaupt. Weishaupt, I think is how you pronounce his name. But I'm nitpicking there. But once you get to those episodes 7, 8, and 9, chapter 7, 8, and 9, where it gets into the French Revolution, you're going to see what I'm talking about here. Are all these revolutionary movements, what does the word revolution even mean? What does the word revolution mean? It means going around in a circle. Look, I'm a revolutionary. I'm a revolutionary. It means going about in a circle, revolving. So they tell you words like progress, equality, fraternity, liberty. They don't mean anything. They say hope and change. What does this really mean? This is why you're not given any concrete demands for these revolutionary movements. With the Obama revolution, it was hope and change. And then you had a massive stirring up and a racialization of every issue by media for 8 years there. Babe Mansell says Bank of America donated $1 billion to BLM right now. We're saved, guys. Right? All my black brothers and sisters out there. Racism's done. Bank of America gave $1 billion to BLM. Is that true? Probably is true. There it is, yesterday. Bank of America pledges $1 billion to minority communities. Okay, well, that's minority communities. Financial giant intends to invest in communities. Okay, so what does this mean? They're going to build low-income housing. This is what that probably really means. Bank of America is going to build low-income housing so they can herd more poor black people into these areas. That's what it means. Bank of America. Fighting the system. Fighting the system, guys. So revolution is just going in circles. Watch that Orthodox Survival Course in my community page. That's a crucial one. Father Seraphim Rose. It's from lectures that he used to give. It actually converted a lot of people to Orthodoxy. And especially once you get to the French Revolution section, you can just skip forward even if you wanted to the French Revolution section, but it's better to listen to the whole thing through. Each episode's about 30 minutes. And you can also download the Orthodox Survival Course as well for free. Look up Orthodox Survival Course PDF, and you'll find that for free. You can download it and you can read along with it. I've got it printed out. It's over somewhere on the ground because I was listening to it on the ground. So that's a really good one. You want to understand what's going on now? Research the French Revolution. Research the color revolutions that we saw. Research what happened in the Arab Spring. It's the same script. It's the same script always running. William Kareen sends $2. Thank you, William. He's also a member. I keep forgetting to talk about the membership site. Our next live voice chat, our next live coaching call is going to be on Friday on our membership site. Become a member if you want to support the work we do and if you want us to support you. And if you want coaching for diet and lifestyle and you want a like-minded community of good people who are building during these tough times, join our members forum. You can click on the link down below. Or if you want to support and you don't want to become a member of the forum, you can just support through donating. There's a PayPal link down below. I gotta start putting up the Patreon link too. A lot of people like to use Patreon. That is another way. I think we do have the Patreon set up. We just never promoted the link. You guys can support that way. If you guys want more of these streams, we do need your support. You don't get good content like this or from channels like Carnivore, who's got a wrench in the chat, if you don't support it. Because you know YouTube is not supporting this. So thank you for the super chat there. So Aaron the Big Black Dude and I were talking in DMs before, right? It's so easy for us to get caught up in emotion during these times, right? We've been locked up in our houses. A lot of us lost our jobs. We were told your business isn't essential. You're not essential as a human, right? We've been told the world is overpopulated also by these same people who told us we're not essential workers. We're told we're bad for being human, or we're bad for being white, or we're bad for being black. Whatever race you are in, you are being targeted with the race baiting. So it's so easy for us to get caught up in this revolutionary fervor, thinking that we're somehow going to change the world and stop the injustice that we see in the world. The question, though, is really, why is there injustice in the world, and where does this come from? Does the injustice in the world come from outside of us? Or do we take part in it? Do we feed into it? Right? The world's fallen. This is how we see it. The world is fallen. And we're not going to find salvation through worshiping the fallen creation, through following the movements of fallen man in this demonic fervor of revolution that always ends up with genocide. That's where it always ends up. These revolutions always end up with genocide. This is what happens. Kevin, stop commenting so much. I can't see other people's comments. I appreciate your input, but just every other comment's from you. I don't want to put you on timeout, but just calm down. I want to see what other people say too. I appreciate your input. I'm not trying to be a dickhead. It just gets distracting. I like the input. Just 25% of that much. I appreciate the understanding. So we get caught up in this like demonic fervor of revolution and fighting for justice and all these movements of man, and they just lead us astray. They just lead us astray. They bring us further degeneracy normally, right? Look what the French Revolution brought about. The French Revolution was all about equality, liberty, and fraternity. Ended up with the slaughter of all the rural people too. Right? The slaughter of the chateau owners, the landowners, killed. Bolshevik Revolution, what was that about? Same thing. Equality, social justice. What did it end up with? Genocide. It ended up in genocide. So if we continue to follow all these revolutionary movements, we're going to keep on going through the same thing, through more revolutions, which is just going in a circle. That's literally what it means. And you're told that this is the coolest thing to do. Right? The revolutionary spirit. What was the first revolutionary? Who was the first revolutionary? The first revolutionary was Lucifer. The serpent in the garden. The first revolutionary was Lucifer. That's why all these revolutionary movements end up in this Luciferian ideology, start with Luciferian ideology, and end up in like full-on satanic bloodshed. So, anonymous, right, where they wear the Guy Fawkes masks. This isn't going to bring you salvation. A lot of people are like, oh, Anonymous is back, man. Or, oh, Q's going to tell us what's going to happen. Right? Get on the train, guys. Q's at the camp waiting for you. April Fools. That's like all these movements, these man-made movements, there's no salvation in them. Salvation comes from God. You're not going to get salvation from kneeling, from making cops kneel to you. What do you think? What do you think that's doing? We're all going to go kneel before our government houses with our hands in the air. That's the global color revolution that's happening right now all throughout the West. Not just in the US, but also the UK and Ireland. The kneeling meme. Come on. We shouldn't kneel before any man. We only kneel before God. And if we keep kneeling before man, we're going to keep being treated like animals. We're going to continue to be treated like dehumanized slaves if we accept that and if we ask for that. If we keep following false prophets like Dr. Greger, false prophets like, who else, right? Bernie Sanders, Trump, Hillary, all these idols, all these false prophets. If you keep following them, if we keep following them, if we keep falling for it, then maybe Dr. Greger is just the the prophet we deserve. Maybe we do deserve the Soypocalypse. If we're going to act like a bunch of soy boys and kneel before men and act like that's some sort of revolutionary act. Revolution in itself and the revolutionary spirit are inherently Luciferian. It's about dethroning God and erecting man as the new God. And this is why we keep falling for this stuff, because man is fallen, right? If we focus our attention, if we focus our love, if we focus our spirit and our heart on God, on repentance, right? Not on making all those mean, bad cops repent, all the mean, bad white people, or all the mean, bad black people repent. No, it's we got to repent. We got to get down on our knees, but not before crowds of people like Colin Kaepernick with his Nike ads and all his hundreds of millions of dollars that he got to generate for these corporations after that. It's not about getting on our knees in front of Parliament like all these idiots in the UK thinking that they're somehow fighting injustice by getting on their knees and putting their fists in the air, showing that they're unarmed in front of Parliament because somebody died in America. That's not going to save us. We should only kneel before God. All right, guys. I'm out of here, bigots.
Like to raise the sense of urgency around climate change.
What ups, Reflections? I am not a bigot. I am ready to save the planet by doing exactly what the big banks tell the TV screens to tell us to do. I feel so empowered on my #vegan journey. Join us as we chant empty slogans for #climate action written by PR firms. We need to save the earth and demand a global totalitarian technocratic government run by big finance and the Fortune 100. Our house is on fire and we need the nice grown-up government to take everyone's land and resources and ration us delicious, sustainable, nutrient-fortified vegan kibble. This is an emergency. Mommy Earth is crying so sad because she wants the mean grown-ups to give poor little 16-year-old human shield Greta her future back.
Do you have anything to add to these debates about just, in particular, the idea that it's kind of too expensive to deal with climate change?
I mean, it is, the money is there. If we can save the banks, then we can save the world. I mean...
Jeffrey Epstein committed suicides and was working alone. Veganism is desirable and fun and make me smile big happy on my insides. I do not hate children. I am not a science denier. I do like science. To fix the hashtag climate crisis, we need to sterilize ourselves, starve ourselves, eat babies and grandma, and move to a social engineered hashtag smart city to save the earth. There is no time to examine the inconsistencies in our claims or actions, or the billions of dollars being leveraged to brainwash us into thinking we want this. We want hashtag climate action now and a hashtag plant-based food system of sustainable fortified kibble. We are not being used. We are truly empowered and full of energy that we are using constructively. We are so empowered and not deceived.
We all share the same values, so we just need to align those values with our actions and join forces. We all want the same thing. We want to see an Earth in the next 50 years.
The money is there. If we can save the banks, then we can save the